The Apocalypse is Cabot's version of the ultimate fighting pistol. It is a samurai sword turned into a gun. It has all the features that any gunfighter is going to want, made with a slide built from a billet of Damascus steel, and everything that you need to take care of yourself and your loved ones, no matter what the circumstances. In this video, we're going to give you a behind-the-scenes look of how Apocalypse came to be and how we make this fantastic fighting pistol. The first time I saw Apocalypse, I thought to myself, damn, that is a gun that I would love to own. Everything about it speaks to me. The slide being made from Damascus steel is one of those things that's a Cabot hallmark, but when we take that and we add our vintage classic finish to it, it just completely transforms the look and the function of the pistol. Damascus steel is very, very durable, but the vintage classic finish just takes that durability to the next level. So this is a gun that I wouldn't have any problem holstering. And I'm not talking about holstering in leather. I would holster this bad boy in Kydex day after day after day, and I wouldn't worry about wear on the gun. I'd worry about wear on the Kydex holster.
The Apocalypse, what a pistol. This is a great example of not knowing what to expect from Damascus. We had ordered a lot of this Damascus, some stainless canister style Damascus that was pretty predictable and we're used to working with and cutting. And the company that sent this particular stuff to us had inadvertently ran the pattern the wrong way when they made these billets for us. We cut it up, thought that something looked a little weird with it, and it ended up being this beautiful pattern that you see now for the Apocalypse. Something completely new and different and unexpected that inspired a totally different path for this material and is now available as the Apocalypse the way that you see it today.
The Apocalypse is one of those models that kind of combines Damascus, which I think is Cabot's calling card, with, a process that we had already been applying to another gun, another model, and really brings them together in such a fantastic way. You've got a gun that looks fantastic. You have the same hand craftsmanship in each one, but you have such a rugged, durable finish on it that it just screams, shoot me.
And this is a pistol that has a very cool backstory because a lot of the functional features of this gun we've been developing over the years. The mag well, our ambi safety, the Cabot red dot mount that gets this dot as low and far back as possible. We had been doing these things, but what really came about was taking a Damascus steel billet that when we etched it, we realized that the pattern was completely different from any of the other billets in that batch. And we looked at it and said, that is something completely unique and different. And once we found that pattern had presented itself, the vintage classic finish was the next logical step to put on it and really make the gun stand out. And for me to see a Damascus pistol with a red dot mount and a threaded barrel, X300, all the cool tactical stuff, but still that Cabot flair, I knew right away we had something special.
So this particular model quickly became one of Cabot's best sellers. And it's sort of magical the way that all the components come together on this. You've got an SRO, a threaded barrel, vintage classic finish, along with that pattern. Makes for like a very apocalyptic type looking pistol that you can carry, use, and not have to worry about scratching up, dinging up, or anything like that. This thing wants to be worn out, and And you've got a luxury piece of Damascus to go along with it. It's the best of all worlds, and it's no surprise that this gun sells so well.
I think the Apocalypse is our best seller because it combines the two things Cabot is best known for: Damascus and, fantastic shootability. A lot of people are scared to shoot a finely finished, beautiful Damascus gun, but you look at the Apocalypse and people think, yeah, I can take that out and run 1,000 rounds through it just fine. Have a good time.
The Apocalypse was one of those projects that, in a way, we stumbled upon. It was sort of a few different processes that we'd all been working on over the years, and they just sort of brought themselves together. We're always looking for interesting ways to add contrast to Damascus steels and ways to preserve Damascus steels. And in this particular case, we wanted to bring our vintage classic finish to Damascus. We thought it would look really cool because typically with a high contrast, we'll go with a matte, darker color, and then we'll also highlight that with polished highs with a stainless finish. And that's great. We've explored that a lot, but we wanted to do something where we brought a little bit of a battle-worn finish to the top. What would your Damascus gun look like if you'd carried it around for years?
The story of how we released Apocalypse is just as interesting as the pistol itself. We had all the photography ready, and we had the web page ready to go live on January 5th of 2021. And we initially had planned on releasing 20 guns available with delivery dates at the end of that year. Well, as we all know, January 6th of 2021 was an interesting day. On the 6th, Rob released an email that had 2 lines and didn't even mention the name of the pistol. It just said that the name was prophetic, and it had a link below. Well, this sold out immediately. Everyone who saw Apocalypse loved the way it looked, the combination of features that we had available for it. The finish is so unique, not only the fact that it's Damascus steel, but the vintage classic finish and the way the color looks on the different layers of the steel. People wanted it, and they wanted it now. And very, very quickly, Apocalypse became our flagship pistol.
There are a lot more options with a model like the Apocalypse. So with the availability of the material and the amount of orders coming in, we get requests for 45 ACP, 9mm, commander length, government length. Some of them have an SRO mounted optic on them. Some have traditional sights. So keeping a lot of these orders straight versus other types of Damascus where, it's one path, one direction, and that's it. Now we suddenly have an array of different options for this one pattern. And, it has its own complexities of keeping track of all that stuff and making sure that you have enough material to do everything in front of you.
The Apocalypse has several stages of distressing that go into it, and a lot of those are hand distress. So we will take every component down to the thread protectors and the sights and the SRO, and even if you order a lamp on the end of it, we can take those and distress those and try to manipulate those so that they sort of match the finish of the vintage classic on the rest of the frame. We also try to focus on areas where it would naturally occur. You don't want to just distress a gun for the sake of beating it up. You're actually trying to emulate a look of a gun that's been well loved, a gun that's been well used, and a gun that provided you with great service.
From my perspective as a lead gunsmith with Cabot, it's super important that the customer gets a reliable and accurate firearm, because we're putting so much time and effort into each one of these, not just the finish, but also the function. Because if you can't shoot it, it's a paperweight.
When I'm talking to customers and they're looking for a pistol that is durable, that is usable, that is an amazing fighting pistol, but they also want that extra something special that's a Cabot, and they want Damascus steel, Apocalypse is it. And it is our best-selling model, and it's for a reason. This is the ideal hero pistol. Now, what's cool to me personally is to see how many people kit their Apocalypse with the red dot mount, because I love red dots. It's no secret. I carry every single gun that I carry except for the barbecue pistol. It's going to have a red dot, specifically the Trijicon SRO. And most people see this gun with the features just like this, and they order it. In fact, a great number of people order it with the threaded barrel as well. And I'm sorry, but nothing brings me more joy than to think of all the people out there at the range shooting their Cabot Apocalypse Damascus Steel pistol with a suppressor hanging off the front. You know, it's a great pistol, it's a great carry piece, but honestly, that is a range flex.
The Apocalypse is kind of a unique one too. When we first started playing with that pattern, we were like, man, this is really cool, but we weren't exactly sure what application it would lend itself to. You know, we already had a few different models of Damascus Steel that we had been, you know, producing on a smaller scale, but we're starting to get quite a bit of experience with. And so we're always looking for ways where that particular pattern is highlighted. Sometimes that's through, you know, the scallops on the end of the slide. Sometimes we'll do carry cuts. Even on small parts, we've added, you know, little scallops into slide stops and things like that to really make the pattern pop. With the Apocalypse, you know, we had these long lines that kind of weaved their way down the slide, and we found that if we broke those up with 13-degree serrations, which we at the time were using on our Nero model, it actually cut into them and like brought new dimension out of the pattern, which, you know, if you're just looking on the flat, it almost looks like just lines running down the side. So that really brought that pattern to life. You know, we knew that was the correct serrations for it. You know, we did front and rear because it brought even further dimension. You got to see it twice on each side of the slide, and then, you know, you rotate the slide, and on the back of it, now you have all these tight little windings, and it just made it for a really interesting pattern that popped as you kind of wore the highs of it and let those edges tarnish a little bit.
Thank you for watching this video on the Cabot Apocalypse. Make sure you go to our website and subscribe to our newsletter and see all the other content that we have there. And also, hit the subscribe button so that you can be notified when we upload future videos.